Howdy folks, I'm going to show you what I've been working on lately. So, if you've seen some of my other videos, I got an 1851 Navy Colt by Pieta recently. And I made some paper cartridges from Guns of the West paper cartridge kit. A little tough to use at times, but that's what the kit looks like there. Pretty reasonably priced, and I got it with the Labor Day sale, so that helps some too. But these are just regular round balls for the 36 caliber 375 diameter. I dipped them in beeswax and olive oil, 50% of each. Melt it, mix it together, and then dip this in the liquid before it hardens. But anyway, I still got some more work to do. I need to get another drill bit and widen out the top of this a little bit. I'll do another video on how I make these once I perfect it, but it works good enough, and I made a sleeve for it. This just pallet sheeting material that was folded around it and glued with I don't know if I got my glue around here. Just glued it with this stuff. Tight bond, quick and thick multi-surface glue. Works real good on everything I've tried it on so far. So anyway, that's my paper cartridge box. So what I'm working on right now, this is a pattern for the back and then the flap for a pouch that'll go on your belt for these. So what I did is I traced it on there, and then I did about a 1/4 inch all the way around. So it would sit like that. And I folded it in half and rounded off this edge and rounded off here. And then I ended up having to tape another piece because I kind of changed my design halfway through. Fold that in half and you cut along there so it's even with the scissors. And then that's the back. I got that cut out of a piece of heavy vegetable tan split. This is probably 5 to 6 ounce leather. Got that from Springfield Leather for a really good price. So far I've just got that cut out. And then I'm wet forming another piece off that split around just a box without the sleeve. So once this dries, then I will take it and glue it to my back, and then I will cut around the perimeter, and hopefully I will have a fairly symmetrical looking wet formed pouch. And then I ordered some, what are they called, stud rivets or something like that, that I can just attach to this part, and then I'll put a little hole in a slit, and that'll be kind of like my snap. I think that's more historically accurate. I'm kind of going for like Civil War era accoutrements, or whatever you want to call it, for the pistol. I already got my gun belt made, so that's what I'm working on, and we'll be editing a series of videos together now that I figured out how to do that, and we'll go from there. Continuing making a pouch for a paper cartridge box. So there's my back, and then that would be the flap. So I've already slicked up the edge with water and Fibing saddle soap and a piece of canvas, and got that all slicked up last night. And then I marked, I don't know if you can really see them, but I made little marks. I think it was 3/4 of an inch from the edge on each side. That is going to be for my chisel. I'm going to start it there for attaching the loops, which I've already cut. They're not perfectly square, but it doesn't matter for what we're doing. We'll chisel here. It's a little over 1/2 inch. See, I got 3 holes there, so I got 4 here. I'm going to step that out. 1 hole in each of these. So I can put 1 stitch on the outside of the actual loop. Use a piece of this yellow looking thread because on the back side where you can't see it anyway. My needle's in another project. This will be the back. So I'm going to start on the top and I'm going to be sewing it just like that. So this facing here, and then it'll get flipped over and stitched on the bottom. So I'm going to go into the actual strap itself, go into my second hole in my main body, go to that exterior hole, maybe. There we go. Now I'm going to back stitch a couple stitches. As we'll do one more, and the whole thing will just be double stitched, give it extra strength. And I'm just going to tie a square knot in that. Cut it off. And burn the ends. And then, like I said, that'll get flipped, stitched onto the bottom, and then I'll do the other side. I don't remember how long I made this. Got a 2-inch belt. My strap is about 3 1/4. I found that measurement by just eyeballing it, and I cut it long and then just kept trimming it till I liked the way it looked. That should be about a 2-inch slot with a little room to spare. So, and it'll bend over. I think that'll sit pretty close to where I want it. Alright, and then we'll catch you in the rest of the video when I make another one and put them together. Okay, so I've already taken my wet formed pocket. I trimmed off the edges and made it a little more manageable. Then I took Leathercraft cement from Fibings, glued the edges, and clamped it down with these for a little while, let it dry. Now I'm going to be taking a 2-prong chisel, first die in the last hole, and chiseling that out. Since your straps are on the back, one thing I forgot to do was slick the edges of these before I sewed them. You should do that first. I can still do it, but it would have been easier before. And then we'll have to edge the edge of this after I get it stitched. So we'll be chiseling the entire perimeter, and then we'll get it sewed. Alright, so I've got it all finished now. It's on the belt. The snap is historically correct looking one. It's just a button basically that you screw in. I got this in a pack of, I think it was, let's see, what was it? 36 sets off of Amazon. It's called Chicago decoration button basically, but so you just screw that into the inside. I don't remember if I said this in the other video, but I just used a round end punch to punch out that, and then you put a hole in this end that's a little bit smaller than your button, and then just put a little slit. So the idea being that slit will open and then close again once it's opened, which it seems to be pretty secure. And then you can take your box out. I dyed this with diluted dark brown pro dye from Fivings with denatured alcohol. I diluted it with, and then used need's foot oil to kind of seal it. I left it pretty rustic looking. It's not like a replica of anything, it's just for the most part historically accurate looking pouch, which is what this whole rig was for. And I'll do a separate video on showcasing the whole rig, but once I get all the pouches made for it. But that's kind of the finished product. I just used a saddler stitch on it. I didn't show all of that because there's so many videos out there on how to do all that, just the basics of making the pouch. One thing I wish I would have done better is made this a little bit longer on the edges here, come up a little more on the back so the sides aren't sticking out. There's nothing really wrong with it, I just wish that was fully covered. In case I'm out doing something and it rains, I want to keep those cartridges good and dry. So I'm planning on making 2 or 3 more of these, and I've adjusted my pattern accordingly. So kind of trial and error on my first attempt, but I don't think it turned out too bad, and it's historically accurate looking, even if it's not an actual replica, and it's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Okay, so since I made the other string of videos in this series, I've made 3 pouches. So this was the first one that I had in the last video, and then I moved to this one, which I still didn't make this big enough. Then I moved to this one that I enlarged the whole thing just a little bit and really made this bigger, and it actually turned out about perfect. Otherwise, I didn't put the slit on the inside of the other 2 like I did on this one, because it's really not necessary. When I made them a little bit bigger, I can get my hand in there and get them out. I've also perfected my boxes a little more. Made them out of oak this time instead of pine. Pine, when you're just drilling 3/8 of an inch, worked pretty good, but when I tried to do the half so the bullets would not get stuck, so they'd actually come out of there, then it just splintered all over the place. So Dad had some oak scraps, so that's what I used for that. So that's what the pouches look like. So here's pattern number 1, pattern number 2, and that's what pattern number 3 ended up looking like. So Your dimensions, of course, are going to be different than mine depending on the box you're using. If you buy like from Guns of the West rather than making your own, nothing wrong with that. I just a little cheaper to make my own out of straps. So that's what the final pouches ended up looking like. I'll probably make a couple more for, might as well fill up the whole belt. So anyways, that's it, and thanks for watching.